Check, check. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go!
Well, I'm way underdressed for this. The dean at the Edwards School of Business. I get to see you in Saskatoon in your element. How are you doing, bud? You're actually home. You're like over here in Harvard. You're everywhere. You're always doing the analytics thing.
Always trying to learn a little bit about things that I really appreciate understanding, meeting with other profs and even some people in industry who do this for a living. It's really wonderful being at those sports analytics venues.
Okay, so I listen, people know you and I have talked behind the scenes. People know if they've followed me on social media how I feel. I'm not a big fan of these rule changes, mainly because they haven't given us enough information. Like, I think, once again, in typical CFL fashion, doesn't matter the commissioner, they just roll it out and they don't really think about it ahead of time. That's my opinion. But from without going down the rabbit hole too much and being negative, what are you intrigued about in terms of the analytics side of this?
I'm really intrigued, Ballsy, by decisions that we might see CFL teams make when they get, say at the 30-yard line, and they're like 3rd and 3. Mm-hmm. Now, right now, from the 30-yard line, that's like basically a 37, 38-yard kick. Now, from the 30-yard line, you're looking at a 53, 54-yard kick, which is right there in Brett Lauther Rouge territory. So now you've got a situation. Are we going to see teams now that are going for it more when they're 3rd and manageable, say in that 25 to 35-yard line range? I think that'll be an interesting thing to tease out as we go forward in the evolution of these rule changes.
So here's my argument. You're a numbers guy. He said not me, he being the commissioner, in his 3 months of data, changing a league with over 130 years of history. In 3 months of data, I'll pound that home. I don't know any major company that does that, but whatever. He said 60 touchdowns. We'll see an on average of 60 touchdowns. 81 games, that's 4.4 points a game on average. But you're going to take, as you just alluded to, Dean, numbers guy, you're going to take probably 2, if not 3 makeable field goals off the board, plus the rouges that won't be given up. So you're looking at a minimum of 1.6 to 1.8 points a game lower at the low end, when we have been having scoring going up 3 years in a row to a total of 54 points a game, 9 more than the NFL. That's what I'm saying. Like, what are we doing here? They speak out of both sides of their mouth.
And Ballsy, I think what the league is also missing is the reduction at end zones from 20 to 15. Mm-hmm. I think that's actually creating now an opportunity for the defense. It creates a real benefit. I know there was a lot of talk that with the goalpost at the back of the end zone, now the quarterback has a full line of vision. And yeah, I get that. That does exist. But yep. I think going from 20 to 15 now makes it easier for the defense. They don't have to guard against that long, deep corner pass in the end zone. I think that will serve to reduce scoring. So I don't totally buy the argument, Ballsy, that we're going to see this dramatic increase in scoring. Again, right now, pretty high scoring game too. Like I said, 54 points on average, better than the NFL. So I think there will be some, I'm not totally convinced that the argument will hold that we're going to see like 60 touchdowns a year extra in the CFL game.
No, I've talked with you about this, so I'm not against expansion, but what does it look like? Who pays for these changes? What if McGill and the UFC say, no, we're not going to pay for this? So where do the Owls and the Stamps play? Is the U of S prepared? I know they're doing there's some sort of there's always a remake out there and there's something going on there, but are they prepared to remake their field? Who's making SMS field? Who's doing Libo field? Are the Riders so arrogant now to think that they're the only tenants at Mosaic Stadium? There's a lot of unanswered questions. That's my whole point. And yeah, I'm passionate about it because I care about the Canadian Football League. And I think a lot of times as Canadians, we're asleep at the wheel or we don't ask enough questions.
And I also think, Ballsy, to your credit, you have a vested interest. You've got your son who gets a game check. And yes, let's face it, there aren't many moms and dads in this nation who basically have sons that are playing the game. If you look at what is there, maybe 20 Canadians per team, so it's less than 200 Canadians right now that are making a living Your son, Ballsy, is one of them. Again, how will this impact the grassroots? How will this impact university, junior, high school football? That's a situation where you wonder if the league is basically, they're going all in and hoping everybody else follows them. But if that's not the case, then we've got a real set of chaos occurring.
And hey, I think we do need to get some expansion in order to get some more juice to the league. I've always said that, but what does it look like? There's so many unanswered questions. I guess we just have to let it play out. I don't control it. You don't control it, but I'm not going to lie to you. You raise a good point. I'm a little more invested, and it hasn't been great for my mental health because I've been really digging into this thing. So I take a backward step, and I'm just going to focus on enjoying the last 6 weeks of pure Canadian football that I've come to know and love. There's no doubt about that. The game will change after this season. Not totally, but it will be changed. So let's talk about it.
Just one point, and I think it's an issue that is overlooked by everybody. Nobody's talking about it, but to me, one of the other significant issues was the game clock.
Yeah.
Going now to this 35-second, what they call it, a running clock or something.
Yeah.
One reason why I love the CFL, again, and maybe the league will have different rules in the last 3 minutes of each half. I don't know. But reason I love the CFL is if there's a minute left and a team has one timeout, like they can get the ball back if they stop the other team. If you get this running clock, now to me, that's going to reduce a bit of the nuances that I've come to love in the Canadian game.
Well, how about before we blow things up, let's fix things that are wrong, like the challenge system, like the timeouts. Don't you think it's absolutely ludicrous that if a coach doesn't use his timeout by the 3-minute warning, he loses one? If he's got two, that's stupid.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think what you want to do as a league is you want to basically ensure that no lead is safe, because that keeps eyeballs on the game. It keeps bums and seats in the stands. I'm not here to. I love the CFL. I love the NFL. I love all football. But what infuriates me in the NFL is if there's a minute and a half left and the team has no timeouts, like they can basically do 2 kneel downs and they consume like 80 seconds right there. And to me, that's not compelling football. So I'm with you, Ballsy. I think they need to look at a way of trying to ensure that people's interest is maintained for the duration of the game.
We've had the secret sauce, though. The CFL is the secret sauce. Like, you go to Harvard to learn more stuff so that you're more trained, so that looks good in your resume and it differentiates you leading an institution from other people. We have it. 3 downs, 110 yards, 65 wide. What's this rouge thing? Like, all of it. And if you wanted to limit the rouge, which I don't, but if you did, you didn't have to move all the goalposts. You could have just you're sitting at the U of S, where in amateur football, if you run a missed field goal or a punt out of the end zone and don't get it up to the 20-yard line, it automatically comes out to the 20-yard line. There you have a solution for the rouge without moving anything. So there's another question, why move it? I'll tell you what, either way, Keith, that was the worst Q&A in the history of professional sports, and it's sickening how the media is now manipulated and they're basically coerced into spreading messages. And if you say anything like I'm saying, you're an old man that yells at clouds and you're a traditionalist and you're a numpty and you don't like change and no, I love change. If it's right change, like a number guy, don't you think that one of the best rule changes in all of football, maybe in the last 30 years, was moving the PAT and nothing play back to the 32-yard line? And it started in the CFL.
Exactly, because now people are following that play rather than not, like in the old days when you have like the 12-yard kick. That's such a gimme. It's like a two-inch putt in golf. Balls, you make a really good point. Like with youth sports, to me, I love the issue of the wide field goal run it back, because it encourages run backs, and then it doesn't penalize the team running out if they get tackled at the 1. They get at the 20. So now you've basically had better flow in the game, better field position. Yeah, a lot of questions unaddressed in this whole debacle that is becoming, to me, a bit of a clown show right now.
Yeah, and the other thing is, why did you announce it right now? When we're 1/3 of the season left, you could have done this after Grey Cup week, during Grey Cup week, probably not during Grey Cup week, but after Grey Cup week in the offseason when we could have talked about it. But let's talk about football, because I was a little late to the party talking to you. I usually talk to you first, but I've been under the weather. So I got to get my voice back up to snuff. Keith, I had guys texting me, what is the professor on? Because your computer has the Winnipeg Blue Bombers as the odds-on favorite to win the Grey Cup. Now, let's be honest, your computer is a prisoner of the moment, so I'm going to take caution with that. But I will say this, the Bombers have been playing since Labor Day, The Bombers have been playing really good defense, and they've been playing really good special teams, and that bears out in the stats. Number 2 ranked defense, number 1 ranked special teams, rookie of the year, Vavel. If Kolaros can play like he did against Hamilton, look out for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. The West, as I've said, still goes through Winnipeg, even though they might not have a home playoff game.
Ballsy, I agree with you. And again, maybe I'm here to defend the computer model, because basically the Blue Bombers coming off of a 37-point evisceration of Hamilton. That game wasn't even close.
Yeah.
From the opening kickoff onwards, it was true Bomber domination. You look now with Kolaros getting back, he's healthy. The Bombers, what are they now, like 8-7? And they've got they got three winnable games upcoming. I know they go to Edmonton, but then they get the Riders at home, and I don't think Saskatchewan is going to sweep Winnipeg this year, especially the way that I think the Riders sort of plateauing. And then I believe the Bombers end up going to Montreal.
Montreal comes to
Winnipeg.
Yeah.
There you go. So to me, easily the Bombers could be 11-7. At worst, Ballsy, if they're a crossover. And if they're a crossover, they are a dangerous crossover, because they don't have the long distances to travel to either to Montreal or Hamilton. Again, stars are aligning. The computer, again, it is a prisoner's moment, because it gives a lot of emphasis to the most recent game, and its most recent game was it saw a 37-point victory over a team that is really strong. It's seeing Calgary now, which is tanking. The Riders are basically seemed like they're rudderless. You got some interesting things happening in the computer model.
Yeah, for sure. And let's talk about it. So I believe, did you have BC number 2, the computer? Because
yes,
I'll tell you where the Winnipeg Blue Bombers caught a break. We talked about this early on. I've never made a CFL. I've never made a schedule for any. Well, no, that's not true. I helped make a schedule for a stick hockey tournament with lots of teams, but it was a one-day tournament. Okay, it wasn't like a professional schedule. But I have a tough time believing you can't make a schedule so you can have natural, big, slobber knocker heavyweight rivals like Winnipeg and BC kind of space their games out. But the Bombers catch a break. They got BC early before they got going, because I wouldn't want to face BC right now. You got BC number 2.
BC number 2, exactly, because the Lions, they are, correct me if I'm wrong, they are also 8-7.
Yes.
And they've got winnable games upcoming. They're backloaded with a lot of home games upcoming now. Again, who knows how Calgary's going to play? I think it's Calgary at BC this weekend.
Yeah.
BC has to go to Saskatchewan last game of the season, but that could be meaningless if the Riders have sewn up a home playoff game. So again, don't overlook the Lions right now. Don't overlook the Bombers. They are, to me, 2 strong teams in the CFL West.
Yeah, I totally agree. Okay, and the Riders are 3. Let's talk as a Rider fan now, because you're a Rider fan. Let's look at some positives. If they're going to stub their toe and they're going to plateau and they're going to tank, they're not tanking, but if they're going to struggle, let's say that. If they're going to struggle and some flaws in their game, and let's be clear, there is no flawless team in the NFL or the CFL. But if you're going to stub your toe, this is when you want to stub it if you're a Rider fan.
Exactly. And if you look at the times, Ballsy, when the Riders have won the Grey Cup, I think 1989, they had a 4-game losing streak. 2007, they had a 3-game losing streak. I believe in 2013, they had a 4-game losing streak. So, yeah, this will happen. Ballsy, you often talk about early season equity. And the Riders, basically, they are cashing in on the early season equity. Because, let's face it, right now, they're 10-4. If they can win 2 of their last 4, that should give them first place. And the West final at Mosaic. So I know that, again, they were terrible. A depleted secondary against Montreal when it was the Tyson Philpott show. Against Edmonton, they decided to play basically the last 5 minutes rather than the first 55. They were rudderless. They should be okay against Ottawa, and then they've got home to Toronto. So again, they can win both of those games. To me, that will give them first place. So again, it's not panic time, but the big panic time is, will they be able to seal the deal in the playoff? Because they're probably going to get a home playoff game. The home playoff games have not been kind to the Riders in the new Mosaic.
I think the Riders do finish first. It looks pretty, I don't know what the probability is, but it's got to be overwhelming. Like they need to absolutely collapse and have Calgary right the ship. Winnipeg basically can't catch them. I mean, they could if the Riders tank the rest of the way, but it's not going to happen. I think the Riders finish in first place. But I got to ask you the last 2 games, your opinion. How much do you hang on the head coach? Because they have not been ready to play the last 2 games. They checked out early to their bye with Montreal. Okay, like that was a pretty disinterested effort, at least at the start, and they looked pretty lackluster. I expected a bit of rust coming out of the bye, but they looked rusty for a lot of that game. How much is that on the head coach, who basically has been the belle of the ball here since he joined, and rightfully so? He's got them rolling in the right direction, but he needs to take, I think, some of the heat too.
I would give more heat to the coaching staff, especially the Montreal game. Again, I know they were playing with Exume in the secondary. They're playing with Onyeka in the secondary. They had players. Saf was playing one of the corners, so I know it was new folks in the secondary, but they looked absolutely unprepared. Edmonton game, Edmonton again. I know they're 6-9, but they are a strong 6-9 team. You saw they handled Calgary really, really well in the return match from the Labor Day contest. Edmonton, one of these days, we were going to lose in Commonwealth. This is the first time ever the Elks have beaten the Riders at home in their franchise's history. So yeah, it was going to happen. So I was more concerned with the Montreal game. It was, to me, that was a situation where you've got a chance now to plant your flag and go firmly to first place, go into a break in a nice perspective, and they basically, it was a non-effort from the very beginning. I was disappointed thoroughly.
And they soiled the sheets. I think you're going to say something else, but you're dressed up in your professor suit, so you're not going to do that. I like that. Way to catch yourself. I could cover for you. I think there has to be a little bit of concern about. Well, I'd have some concerns about my quarterback regressing a little bit, or teams figuring him out a little bit. You know, they're really clogging up the 0 to 15-yard passes, and if you can push the interior of the pocket, he's got all the mobility of this microphone, so he's not getting out of the pocket.
Yeah, I think the Edmonton game, Ballsy, is when he looked like a 39-year-old quarterback. And I know there are some 39-year-olds that are excellent. Tom Brady, Anthony Calvillo played late in their career. But there's times this year when QB7 has looked strong, like, MVP caliber. And there's other times when he's looked like, he is 39 and age was really wreaking havoc on him. And Edmonton was one of those games. I really hope it's better for Ottawa, because I think you'll see a bit of paranoia in Rider Nation. Again, if they can't make it versus Ottawa, now you're going to October where you got to give me 2 wins out of those 3 games that are left. Toronto, probably a win, but then Winnipeg, BC, who knows?
Well, I think we all stand corrected. I thought he was shot after last year. I thought there's no way this guy, AJ Ouellette, is the MVP on offense. He is the MVP on offense. Kudos to him for riding the ship body-wise, and he looks good. If they're going to have any success, AJ Ouellette has to keep this going.
Yeah, Ballsy, I agree. Remember last year commenting that he looks like the before guy in an ibuprofen commercial.
Yeah.
Like, just he looked like he was in pain after every play coming off the field. And I thought, what a fun free agent bust. Like, couldn't we get, we had Kadeem Carey for a bit. We even had Raquel Armstead played last year, had that one great game against Calgary. So I was really disappointed in Ouellette, but he's come back. Again, when the guy's healthy, he can move the pile. Like a Brady Oliveira, Andrew Harris type running back. I think that will be important for the Riders going forward, because he's a bit of that secret sauce that's helped them to be successful.
Well, and we haven't seen KSB since week 1. He deems himself ready to go. He would be definitely like one of those free agent acquisitions at the deadline, or a trade at the deadline where you're like, okay, this is like a trade at the deadline. That could be the shot in the arm the Riders need too.
Well, exactly. You get him and Emilus now, which I think, they played probably maybe 1 series together this entire season. So having them back on the field, Tommy Neal's been a revelation. A bit disappointed in Joe. I thought he'd be a little bit better. But again, I think the Riders, that will give them some lift up. But it's worrying me with Devon Campbell, because I think a ratio breaker playing secondary, having him there gives much more stability than when he's not there, because again, it gives him an opportunity of using a Canadian spot, which is typically an American starter. So I hope Devon Campbell comes back soon.
Games are close in the playoffs, okay? It comes down to 1, 2, 3 plays, which could be a field goal. As we talk now, we're coming up on the trade deadline, which I believe is Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. Riders go to Ottawa. Ottawa already unloaded Lorenzo Malden the 4th to Calgary. Should the Riders do whatever they can to get Lewis Ward as the kicker?
Yeah. I know 2024, Lawler had a rough year. Remember his game against Montreal when he was 3 for 7 and the Riders lost by 3. But then he went on a real heater. I think he was strong the rest of 2024. 2025, same situation. Began modest and ballsy. It's getting worse. It's been getting worse. When you're missing PATs, when you're missing field goals inside of 40 yards, again, I know nothing's a gimme, but you expect that from your field goal kicker. And I do worry that as Rider Nation, we've seen 2004 when McCallum shanked a kick. We saw 1992 when Dave Ridgway slipped in the Commonwealth turf. We've seen situations where missed field goals cause you to lose games. And I think from the Riders' perspective, I don't think QB7 is playing as a 40-year-old. They've basically gone all in on some of their key players. So to me, it's this year or bust. And I think that's why you want to do what you can to really strengthen that kicking position for the last part of the season.
Well, it would be kind of ironic that the flagship franchise, the Riders, Bombers are right there too, but the flagship franchise, has a chance to play in Winnipeg again, or in Winnipeg for the Grey Cup. Going to be very interesting. And the Riders, your computer's got Ottawa winning this game. I have to say, unplug that computer. I think the Riders will destroy Ottawa. I think it'll be probably 14 to 17 points. I really do. I think this is going to be. That was a wake-up call the last 2 weeks, and they got to, like you said, plant the flag. I don't see – if the Riders lose to Ottawa, then everybody should be panicking in Rider Nation. And I mean that. I'm not saying that lightly.
And I think that's, again, when paranoia will reach epic proportions. To me, the game on Friday night is a referendum on Coach Mace. Because I know, again, Coach Mace, he's done really, really well for the first 2 years. By the way, so did Craig Dickinson, his first 2 years as a Rider boss, and then things tanked. I think this is one of those games where the road team should win. And so many times in Rider history, it seems we lose the winnable games. And to me, this one, it's not a free space in the bingo card, Ballsy, but it's something where, come on, every other team beats Ottawa, except Calgary this year, by the way. I think the Riders, if Winnipeg can beat Ottawa when they completed 3 passes, come on, Winnipeg through special teams and through running the dang ball, I think the Riders can emerge victorious.
I wonder if Toronto unloads some guys. Their season's basically done. Would they get rid of Liram Haralahu? I'm just talking from a Rider perspective. He's the guy that can hit field goals. Who do you got? Hamilton, Toronto this week. I think Hamilton, I don't know. I think Hamilton may have been a little bit overinflated. They got knocked down a peg. So I won't say they're an automatic win in Toronto. In fact, I'm going to take the Argos to win that game.
Yeah, the computer likes Toronto. I like Hamilton. I'm going to go against the computer on this one.
Yeah.
I like Hamilton. I think they got embarrassed in Winnipeg. And I know it's a game in Toronto, but let's face it, the fans will be 50-50. Hamilton fans will travel to Toronto. Toronto right now, they're more concerned with the Blue Jays and Leafs than they are with the Argos. So
yeah, no, good point. And lastly, the BC Lions are home to the Calgary Stampeders. They embarrassed them in Calgary, did the Lions. They're rolling right now. Matthew Betts looks like he's a shot out of a cannon again, the guy who was wreaking havoc before he left for the NFL. Who do you got in that game?
Me or the computer?
Well, both.
Computer loves the Lions big time because the Lions are on a real heater. Calgary has been defunct, it seems, since after Labor Day. Ballsy, I got the Stampeders.
Okay.
I have too much respect. I think for Dave Dickinson, I like Craig as well, but I think when you look at the Stampeders, they're like the New England Patriots of the CFL. They always win. And to me, I think this is a situation where Calgary lost to Montreal. They got beat significantly by BC. Was that a 29-point loss at home to McMahon? I think the Stampeders are going to right the ship. I am a little worried about Calgary with the injuries piling up in the QB position. VA is banged up and has not looked at all like the VA from earlier this season.
Well, there's pressure on the Stamps, man, because back to the start of our conversation football-wise here, I know I'm going to be called Bomber Ballsy, but they went 11 weeks without a bye. Now they're on a bye. They're playing good. They've won 2 games. They had an emphatic win at home. And if Calgary continues to stumble, don't look now, but Winnipeg has a home playoff game in the West semifinal. That could very well happen. And Calgary, beat Winnipeg 3 times. I don't think there's any way Mike O'Shea's team loses 4 times to Calgary, whether it's at Calgary or at Winnipeg. So if I'm the Stamps, I want to at least give myself a puncher's chance with a home playoff game. So they better win some games here.
Well said, Ballsy.
Hey, man, thanks for your time. You're looking good, too, by the way. How many suits you got? How many suits do you have?
A fair number.
That's
Enough
good,
that
man.
I think I could wear one for every day in a week and maybe last 2.5 weeks and I'd be okay.
By the way, last question. Do you always wear green? Do you always find a way to wear green? Is that green? That looks green to me.
It's a bit of a greenish blue.
Yeah. You always got green somehow, hey?
Trying to represent.
See you, buddy. Take care.
Thanks, Ballsy.